Sounds good.
All right, looks like we're live. Can you guys hear us?
I hope they can.
This one,
It'd be rather
one
not
last
good if they
time.
couldn't hear us when we were live, right, Adnan?
Indeed.
Well, since we're all here, I guess I'll do the traditional introduction. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jonathan. I am Quixel's community manager. With me today is Adnan. He is also better known as one of our in-house technical artists and evangelists. He's got some cool stuff he's going to cover today about upcoming changes to the Megascans library, changes to Megascans Mixer, and other new things you guys are going to find really cool. So I will turn it over to him and let him discuss.
Perfect. Thank you, Jonathan. Looks like we have a lot of people today. Welcome to this live stream. This is the first live stream that we have after, a series of really amazing environment breakdowns, and we're really happy to see the reception that those projects got, and I can't wait to share more information next month with you guys as well on some really tasty projects on that as well, and some upcoming breakdowns, live streams, and so on. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Now, the topic of this video is going to be quite different from what we did before. Basically, we've been covering Megascans on a higher level, showing you guys, okay, here's a nice scene, and all these assets are used this way and that way to actually make it. However, one common problem that we often get as in form of questions, whether it's in YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and so on, is just people wondering like, okay, I have 3D assets, basically it's just a mesh and a few textures, or 3D plants. Yay, you gave me a static object that I'm just gonna apply with the textures and it can't even move, or my vertex settings aren't ideal, and so on. So this live stream is gonna be clearing most of those misconceptions, but also exploring the dynamic, like why does Quixel have three tools, which is the Megascans library, Quixel Bridge, and Quixel Mixer, and what's the purpose of each one of those tools. So we're going to be talking just about that. Now, before we start though, I just wanted to give a shout out to a few projects here, starting with obviously Jonathan, who's with me in this live stream. This project is really amazing, and it got a lot of traction online. And I think, Jonathan, you did it like in how much time was it again? Like a weekend or something?
Literally 18 hours. I started on Saturday because I couldn't sleep too well. I had this idea pop into my head of a childhood memory, and it's like, God, I got to get this thing out of my head or I'm never going to do it. So I just laid down, opened up my phone, and then I typed in Hall of Trees on Google so that I would remember for the next morning when I looked at my phone. And then I just dug through my memories on Saturday morning and just worked on this nonstop. Well, not nonstop. I had friends and some other people come over the weekend, but I just, I busted it out. I had a vision and I just had to see it through.
Yeah,
So I got most of the work done Saturday and Sunday, and then the finishing touches were Monday night, and then Tuesday night was like some final bits of moss that you really have to look close to see on some of the trees in the background. So
yeah, it looked really amazing, and I mean, it's
thank you.
always exciting to see people doing these projects. Just a quick project for the weekend or something like that. And let me actually share the link in the comments right there. So this is all good and all, but something that I really wanted to insist here is that you guys can also, share your work in our social channels, and we're gonna be there helping you guys. And we're actually trying to increase our presence on our Facebook group, mostly the artists, just to make sure that if you post your stuff there, we're gonna be there and we're gonna be helping you. Lost with Dan, did you 3D model the trees? The trees were actually made in SpeedTree, right, Jonathan?
Yes, they are. SpeedTree is amazing for this kind of work.
Indeed. So one scene that I wanted to feature here, and I think this is really important, was actually from Osam Galwash. Basically, he started this scene and he was asking for feedback, like, okay, I feel like the composition or here and there might not be right, and so on. And so you had Victor, James, and all the artists that worked on the different breakdowns. They just came in and they started giving a bunch of feedback here and there. For instance, saying like, okay, this asset here is too bright in comparison to the other scenes, or you have this really sharp seam that is visible, or composition and so on. And yeah, he brought it to a completely different state, and now it looks way better. There's way more comments, and yeah, I think this scene really shows how much progress someone can make really quickly if you have the proper guidance. And the goal of the Facebook
yes.
group is just that, you know, you go there, you post your stuff, people are going to be there to help you, and that's about it. Actually, wait, do we have the Facebook group there? I'll just share it in the comments as well. And of course, you know, there's amazing work being posted all over. This one is from Mouton Burger. That's a weird name there. And yeah, this looks amazing. Kind of reminds me of Rebirth, but with a different vibe. And then you have the amazing Christopher Evans doing God's work with Mixer, and some amazing CryEngine renders here with yeah, I think he used Megascans for the rocks and some really nice shaders to kind of, you know, blend the moss and other types of layers, I guess, you know, like moss and maybe tileable rock textures on top of it as well. And then you have another one from Mouton Burger as well, which this one looks really good. And this one from Amin Baht, which I always like seeing this 3D asset over here, and he actually dropped two different lighting here. And finally, the most amazing Mariana Latech, I hope I pronounced that right, who made this really nice scene. So I think that should be it for the featuring part of this video. Now we're going to be focusing on what's really important and the topic of this video. Back to the asset. Most of you guys have probably seen this video, last week's video, where, you know, Josh just drags and drop a few props on top of his base geometry, and the scene initially only has 2 planes, but, you know, in a matter of a few minutes you start seeing like, okay, now he has this asset. Oh, he added a decal to create the leakages underneath the electrical box, and then he adds a decal right between the concrete and the kind of plaster layer there, and just keeps on overlaying decals here and there. Now, I'm going to be talking about decals a little bit later on, not just about, you know, oh, these are decals, you can stamp them everywhere, but also that you actually can optimize them, because having too many decals on one asset, for instance, is not that good, because each decal equals 1 draw call. I think actually 2 if you have a material with it. And so by combining them all into one specific assets, it kind of makes it way easier for you. So STF, is there a bridge function for Maya V-Ray? Yes, there is a bridge function for Maya V-Ray. There's actually a bridge function for Maya Max and so on, and in Maya you have V-Ray Arnold Redshift. Yes, I think there's another one, but I can't quite remember, and I made that tool or part of it, ironically. Yes, so let's go inside of bridge. Now the first asset that I'm going to be covering is the 3D assets, which are pretty self-explanatory, and they're kind of the most amazing and useful assets in general, because it's fairly easy to find surfaces. Like there are a lot of stores online that gives you, you know, all these different surfaces, PBR, non-PBR, and so on. However, getting quality 3D assets is quite rare and hard, and that's one of the things that I really like about the Megascans library. So let's go to the 3D view in here. Let me just check the comments. Houdini and Bridge. We actually already have a live link for Houdini and Bridge as well. You can test that out. Actually, you know, you just go into export settings here and you select Houdini. Here's Houdini. You download the plugin, you install it, and that's it. So Bridge actually has a really neat PBR previewer, by the way, for those of you who don't know. But these are 3D assets, you know, basic geometries, but something kind of special about a lot of them is that we actually make sure that, you know, all the bottom section right here is flat, which makes it easier for you to kind of stamp them in the ground. Sometimes you download something, you know, a photogrammetry mesh on another library, and the bottom is all kind of finicky, which means you need to rotate it in a specific weird angle to make it fit. So this problem is not here, fortunately. And yeah, as you can see, the asset looks great. You can also preview in multiple different resolutions. You can check out, you know, the lowest LOD as well. There you go. And you can check the wireframe. Yep. Let's close this one now. 3D assets, the way that I see most people use them generally is you import a 3D assets and then you just start playing around with it. Oh, I'm gonna place it here, or I'm gonna place it there. However, you can do much more, and I'm just gonna do a very quick demonstration in Autodesk Maya. Hopefully it won't crash on me. So one common problem that people have is that, you know, you take a 3D asset, it's static, you can't change it. However, if you use some modeling tricks, there are a lot of possibilities. For instance, in this case, I was actually just running a random test, and what I wanted to do was kind of create an arch door with these wooden planks. Not that it would be realistic, but I was just curious, you know, can you actually do it? And the way to do it in this case, you know, you have your objects, you have your pivot at the bottom, and you just go to deform, nonlinear, and then you bend it. And now from there you can actually tweak the different parameters, like the curvature, like this for instance. The normals get broken, but we'll get to that in a second. And so I can just do something like this. There you go. And then I can increase the curvature even more. Perfect. So this is a fairly simple example, but you can extend it to so many different and more complex subjects. And to fix the normal, you just go to mesh display, set to face, and then mesh display again, soften, and that should be it. And now you have a mesh which uses the same base, you know, a scan based assets. The texture quality is not going to change, nothing's going to change for you, but you're just going to have a different asset from what was originally in the library. And of course it's non-destructive, meaning that you can play with it, you know, however you want to. Whoops. Yeah, so those are 3D assets. In Josh's scene, for instance, the only 3D assets that you actually see, let's go there, are this electrical box, and I think the pipe section as well. The wall is just a plane with, I think, a base displacement, and the floor as well. 3D plans are 3D assets as well, but that's another topic. Jonathan, is there any question you wanted me to reply to?
Nope, for the moment we're pretty good. I'm handling it all in chat.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm seeing quite a lot of comments there. Yeah, I just noticed like a conversation between World Machine and so on for terrain building from Mikasa Ackerman. Oh, Mikasa is from like Attack on Titan, really great anime. But anyway, so when it comes to creating terrains, actually, I think anyone who does that should definitely check out Gaia, which is made by Quad Spinner. If you've used Word Machine before, basically Word Machine has had this set of plugins that was called Quad Spinner something, I can't quite remember. This was like 5 to almost 8 years ago, and they were really great for making nice erosion filters, desert terrains, and so on. The guy who made Gaia, Dax Pondy, actually is the original maker of those tools as well, so you should definitely check that one out. I think it's just called, yeah, Gaia from Quad Spinner. There you go. And you also have like World Creator and many other terrain tools, but yeah, you also have Houdini, which is great for that as well. So now that we've covered our 3D assets, I'm gonna cover 3D plants, because I think there's a lot of possibilities with them. Let's see these guys right here. Now, the concept of 3D plant is, you know, fairly basic. You have an asset with a bunch of planes, and then it's kind of covered with an opacity map, and there you go, you have a plant. However, one common problem with 3D plant that are just, you know, you get them out of the box like that is they're not animated, or they're hard to animate. You can't rig a 3D plant like you would with a character, for instance, because it's just too expensive. Let me actually go to LUD 0 right there. Yeah, it's just too expensive in general. However, what you can do is use vertex painting to kind of animate the whole plant. So I'm actually gonna open it in Maya. I think I might have deleted this guy at some point, but that is not a problem. We have our guy right here. I'll just drag and drop it in Maya. Okay, so if you import your plant in Maya, you can actually check the vertex painting for yourself. I think the setting is somewhere in mesh display, and you have display colors. There you go. And basically the colors that you're seeing here are almost like a gradient. Green is static, and red, I think, is I think it goes from like green to yellow to red. Yeah, and basically red is where the mesh is really dynamic and actually moves, while the leaves, the center of the leaves sways a little bit less than their edges right here. And yeah, you can import this plant actually in pretty much any software, be it Maya, Max, Unreal, Modo, CryEngine, Unity, you name it. All of them generally support vertex animation. Any plans for Unity support in the future? Yes, there's already Unity support in Bridge. Again, you just go to Bridge, export section, and then you set the application to Unity, you download your plugin, and call it a day. So yeah, let's go back to our guy again. And yeah, I mean, 3D plants in general, one thing that I recommend for people to do, and this is really problematic, I think, in most beginners kind of scenes, is that you just take one plant and then you scatter it everywhere in the entire scene. The best way to do it generally is to kind of, you know, have some color variation parameters, and this is something that you can do in pretty much any software these days, and that kind of helps you, you know, give this fake sense of, oh, each one of these plants are unique, and you know, they grow up in their own space, or the sun affects them differently. People will imagine stuff like that once they see like plants even with slightly different hues of color and so on. So let's close this guy right here. And the next one that we're going to be exploring is the 3D surface. I don't think there's much to say about 3D surfaces, to be honest. They're great, they're amazing. We have them in the thousands in the library. And yeah, let's actually preview this guy right here. Or my favorite one. Yeah, this herringbone pattern is just so good. Let me actually, yeah, obviously, you know, all Megascan textures are fully PBR calibrated, meaning that if you were to download this, for instance, with the old diffuse workflow, skin shrink, yes, if you're using 3ds Max, Bridge does work with Octane. It works with F-Storm and Corona and V-Ray and Redshift as well. All of those renderers are supported in the 3ds Max live link. So yeah, back to our texture again. You know, it's just a PBR texture. You don't have any shadows in there, which means you can post this, you know, in a scene that is in the North Pole or the South Pole or in an African jungle, anywhere. It's gonna be lit properly. You won't have, you know, shadows sticking in forever and so on and so forth. So that's pretty neat. They're all tileable as well. You can actually check the previews. Let me remove Jonathan right here.
Hey.
Yep. Let me remove this guy. So here you have the tileable preview. And there you go. Yeah, no seams, obviously. So let's close this tab over here. And I think that's pretty much it for the most, you know, like advanced assets. I'm gonna be talking about, the point system that we adjusted recently as soon as we're over with the different asset categories. I think that, a lot of people have been really excited about it. Wait, let me just check the comments here. Cinema 4D and Octane. Actually, yes, we do have Octane with Cinema 4D. If I remember correctly, there was like, I think a pending update on displacement support. But yes, there is Octane support. I'm gonna have to double check. I think the main developer, and I'd actually like to give him a shout out, Ajwad. So Ajwad, for instance, has been responsible for a lot of work on the Unity live link, and he's working and maintaining so many different live links. There's Ajwad, there's Dura, and then there's Jin as well, who's helping them, kind of making sure that, okay, since they're developers and I have artistic experience, I want to help them get all the PBR settings right. So yeah, the company is filled with amazing people like that. And yep. Yes, Blender Eevee is supported. Blender Cycles is supported as well. We have an upcoming tutorials on that actually, so stay tuned for that. And the live link is open source, just to follow kind of Blender's philosophy as well. Okay, I think that should
Neat little philosophy they have, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's a neat philosophy that they have, keeping things open source.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, looks like it worked really well for them now because the software is taking off. So many big companies are supporting them, so it's really great. Are the materials scanned or are they made in Designer? No, all of them are scanned actually. Yeah. So my decals are in UE4 are invisible. I use the normal master material. I'm not sure I fully understand. However, decals by default are always invisible. They're not like on a plane that you can drag and drop here and there. You just need to move your decal on top of a mesh. Like it's almost like a volume. I don't know if I actually have one somewhere here. Oh, I do. Okay, so if you imported a decal with the Unreal Engine Live Link, for instance, this is what you'd get: a material with a few textures. Whoops. Let's see there. Hopefully Unreal won't stop. There you go. I think it was saving when I dragged and dropped. Yeah, you can just drag and drop it there and it's gonna project the decal. So I don't know why it would be invisible, but chances are it might be like a material thingy. And
well, it might be invisible if he's only viewing it inside of the content browser. That's certainly possible. Sometimes it only shows up below the horizon.
Yeah, and you also need to make sure that the bounding box here is actually touching your surface, because if you move it up a little bit too much, yeah, you don't have a decal anymore. So that can be a little bit annoying, but yeah. So I think, yeah, there are a lot of questions, but I'm glad that we're answering them as we go. And we're a global company with yes, Quixel is a global company. I think one thing that I really love about Quixel is actually, how diverse the company is. Like Jonathan is in the US. I'm actually in the Uppsala office, but I originally come from Africa. And then you have a huge team in Pakistan. You have people working in Spain and in Germany, the UK, like Australia as well, and South Africa, everywhere basically around the world. And yeah, it's the best team ever. Definitely.
You really missed a chance to call me out on being Florida man, though.
Nah, I'm gonna keep those memes for later. Right. So the next category that I was gonna explore is scatter assets. You probably might have come across these, concrete rubbles, and at first, they're just 3D assets, but it's a bunch of duplicate assets here and there. But these are actually more than just 3D assets, because they're scatter 3D assets. And what you can do with scatter 3D assets is import them within Unreal, and again the live links automatically adds them to the foliage painter if and only if you have, oops, let's go back here. Yeah, you have this checkbox right here, auto populate foliage painter. What this tells the live link is that, okay, listen live link, when the user clicks export in bridge, I want you to automatically add all the scatter meshes in his foliage painter. This way he just clicks on export and then he can directly start painting all the mushrooms that he wants in his scene. So yeah, it can be quite helpful, you know, just to add details on a scene very quickly. So yeah, a pretty neat feature in Unreal Engine. Let me just double check. There seem to be quite a few questions about 4.23. Yes, that is coming next week with a really big update of the Unreal Engine Live link that I'm gonna be covering next week extensively and show you guys some really neat features which are gonna be teased a little bit there. Jonathan, you and your Florida alligators. Right, let's close this one.
Hey man,
and
you gotta scan something, right?
Exactly. Right, so yeah, you know, these scatter assets are quite useful, and all the different breakdowns actually do leverage them heavily. You know, you have so many different leaves and so on scattered all around, and that's essential in most scenes. However, do make sure that, like, if you check my settings again, this is what I did. I just painted and I hit export in bridge, and that was it. Now if we zoom in, you'll notice that the poly count on these is extremely high. The texture resolution is also extremely high. Like this, will there be more ham scans? Eric is here asking the real questions. I hope we do have more ham scans actually. And yeah, Eric, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is I think COO, like content operator officer or something, and he is basically handling what comes into the library and so on. And yeah, he has a fantastic crew, and yeah, again, amazing people to work with all day. Not you, Eric, though. All right, so again, this 3D asset right here, you really need to make sure that you don't import lot 0, and you don't need to import, you know, if it's just a small rubble pile somewhere in environment, please don't export it in 4K. Like that is never needed. Always make sure that, you know, you go as low as even just 1K or even 512, and yeah, just to
512.
Yeah,
that's blasphemy.
I mean, these assets are so small that no one ever zooms on them, so there's no need to just hit export. Like people often just, you know, oh, I'm just gonna keep hitting export, or I'm gonna select everything here and then hit export. However, when you do that, you're actually kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because you're not double checking. Maybe you want this one to be at lot 1 and this one to be at lot 5. Like these are really important things that you need to be aware of, and we're going to be covering them more and more in the upcoming tutorials. You know, not just how to make, oh wow, this scene is so great, but actually, oh wow, this scene is great and can run in real time.
Yeah, textile density is a big subject that we should definitely cover in a future stream, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So you can change the texture resolution here, and you can change the mesh format. The LOD is right here. For this asset, for instance, you have up to LOD 5 right here. Actually, let me just double check if I can preview this guy right here. Yeah, you can check your geometry in bridge, you know, just go to wireframe. This is obviously too much for almost a pebble somewhere in your environment, and if you go down to LOD 5, this looks much better. And of course, you might want to go even lower with the texture resolution. Generally, these assets are viewed from really far away, and even this close, it, you know, it's still fairly good, to be honest. Is the live link in UE4 taking a lot of computer performance? Not really. I mean, the only thing that the live link does is that it imports stuff. It's up to you to, you know, choose what performance, what assets you want to import, and what load and how heavy the texture and so on. But the live link itself, you know, you just export, and you're done. So there's no performance impact at all there. But again, you need to be careful with your LODs and your texture resolution, please. Can you all allow to zoom more on assets in the 3D preview? That's a really good question. So you can actually zoom. Bridge, don't do this to me. I have like 6 softwares open all over. So I'm just gonna refresh Bridge, and you can actually zoom in on an asset once you download it really up close. However, it's only when you preview it in the library that the zoom stays a little bit far away. Just to give you some context, that's because when you're previewing an asset in 3D, oh, these assets are really nice. Let's actually look at one of them. I think this came before the live stream started. Let's see. Yeah, so the reason why you have this zoom capped in this case is because the texture resolution is actually 1K only, and obviously that just to make sure that you can load it, you know, like this fast. You can move the shadows around and so on and so forth. But yeah, we only have that restriction because of performance, and we wouldn't want you to zoom in and only see, you know, blurry textures that don't make any sense to you. However, if you go to the downloaded tab where you have content that you actually downloaded, let me just pick up one of my favorite assets, this one. Yeah, this is amazing, and all these assets are scanned again by the content team, but then you have, you know, like a processing team which is led by people like Daryl, and then I think Alberto as well is there, and a few other people. And yeah, it's just again amazing work by so many people. Yeah, so this asset right here, you probably noticed like, this is quite low actually, and that's because we're on LOD 5. So if I go to LOD 0, it's gonna look much better, and if I increase the texture resolution, it's gonna look much better. I can go to 4K, but yeah, you get the point. So you can actually zoom in on these assets, you know, a lot closer than the asset that you haven't downloaded, and yeah, that's basically the restriction that you have in here. And obviously you can preview your different texture maps. You can also check out the preview renders that come in by default in the library. So let me just check the comments here for a sec. Any good tutorial Megascan using Claris and 3ds Max? That's a good question. Tutorial for Megascan Atlas workflow using Claris and 3ds Max. That's a really good question. I'm not even sure that I have seen yet. I think Jin, he might not be here, but he probably has some insight into this. So yes, I'll just send him a picture of this question right here, and then he'll get back to you once he's back. However, I am gonna cover the Atlas workflow later on in the video, or pretty soon actually. So I think we covered pretty much most asset decals. Decals, I need to look for some nice decals. Is there a way to export the albedo at 512 and the normal at like 2K or more? That's actually planned. You know, basically right now, if you go to the no, not there, I just need to. So right now you probably notice the minimum resolution is 2K, and you have more advanced settings, you know, like channel packing and so on. However, in the long term, we do want to give you the possibilities of exporting, you know, at even low resolution. Hell, if you want to export at 1 by 1 pixel, we want you to be able to do that, because, you know, someone might want to do that for some weird reason. So yeah, not available yet, but definitely in the work by a lot of great engineers and stuff. So let's check the comment again. And yeah, I think now it's time to cover decals. We covered them briefly in Unreal, but Yeah, decals have a, their concept is fairly simple. It's just a texture with a mask. You import it and use it pretty much like everywhere. For instance, I was just doodling this thing right here to test the live link update, which I'm gonna be talking about later, by the way. Kind of to see, okay, I have this basic wall right here. What kind of decal can I overlay on top of it? And generally, you can overlay so many decals on one mesh. However, just always keep in mind that there's no need to have like 20 different decals on one small part of a wall that is somewhere. Always try to optimize and combine your asset. Can I bring my own assets to the library? Absolutely. This is a really good question. I was gonna cover it later on, but I feel like covering it now actually because it's a subject that I really like. So if you go to bridge, you have all these different sections here. Latest, where you review the latest assets, and then you have free, where there are 50 free assets for you to download and use them and so on. And you have acquired, where you have all the assets that you've ever acquired, basically. Downloaded, asset that you've downloaded. Favorites, you can just actually my favorite asset, did I set it to favorite? Okay, see this? This is shameful. I didn't set my favorite asset to favorite. But yeah, you can just click there and you're done. And then it's gonna appear in your favorite tab, which is nice, kind of storing them in this place where, okay, I know that I have this specific grass that I use everywhere. You can just favorite it and use it all over. Okay, so the next one is Mixer. This is, again, an external one where you have, let's say you have Mixer, you create a really nice asset in there, and then you want to send it from Mixer to Unreal. Manually doing that would mean, oh god, I haven't done the manual process in so long, but I'm just gonna to give you some context, because yeah, after using Megascans for a bit, I kind of forgot the manual process, to be honest. And especially how painful it is, because basically you'd have to drag and drop all your materials, all your textures, sorry, set them in a folder, create a material instance like this one, and then drag and drop all the different textures in these different slots. Yeah, this is something that the live link does for you. So if you have something that you made in Mixer, you can actually send it to Bridge. Let's see, do I have the latest version of Mixer? How do you comp or blend different surfaces in 3ds Max? That's a really good question. So the best way to do that would be to leverage vertex painting. There's probably other techniques. You could merge or blend different textures with procedural noises in the Slate material editor. You can also do that with just noise images or whatever. You can do height-based blending and many other different blending options. But yeah, the Slate material editor is really nice, so it should be fairly easy to do that there. I would love to be able to create my own categories. Will you be adding that soon? I didn't check if I was allowed to talk about that much. However, yes, definitely. And you have no idea how excited I am for that, because this is, to be honest with you, like it makes sense. Maybe you're working on one scene, like our artist just make an urban environment. Maybe he wants to have instead of this folder being called downloaded, maybe he wants it to be urban environment, and that's just one folder between many, and from there he can just go there and pick up his assets. So yes, we're definitely working on that. I think actually I have an idea of the ETA, so I'd probably just give you soon. But yes, any chance the bridge will be available with a perpetual license only for asset management? I don't know, to be honest. Obviously I'm just a guy doing stuff. So that's, yeah, I don't know perpetual. However, if you're only interested in the content management aspect of Bridge, you can actually get a $9 subscription, which you don't have. You have, I think, was it 2 or 5 assets or something like that? You also have the 50 different assets. or 5 assets per month, by the way, that are given to you for free, and the 50 assets for free. And you have Bridge, again, $9 per month. I think that's quite cheap, to be honest. Is there an ETA for migrating Quixel Mixer, for migrating Quixel Suite to Bridge? Yes, that has been a hot topic. I can't give you a specific ETA, because we don't want to copy past Quixel, the Quixel suite. It's a great texturing software, and it was the founding tool that kind of kickstarted the company in some sense. However, I think in this day and age you can do much better, and we're implementing really nice ideas all over the place to give you a next gen you could say texturing experience. And a lot of the simple stuff, like importing your 3D asset, texturing it using smart materials and so on, all of that is in the works. We're going to be sharing information on that soon, actually. So yes, just I don't know if I would say in the coming weeks or in the coming months, but yes, really soon you're gonna be hearing some news about that. I've seen some stuff, guys, and it's really exciting. So yeah, let me check the comments. Jovikas Mileshki, any plans for making custom sized materials? Or you can actually already make custom sized materials in Mixer. I'm just going to create an empty project here. You can change the size of the project right here up to 100 meter by 100 meter, and 3D import is coming into Mixer. How do I bring my own stuff, scans, materials via Mixer? That's a good question. So let's say that I had this floor surface. This is a Megascan surface, but for the sake of the argument, let's say that it wasn't. To import it in Mixer, I think I need to go to here, library, and you have import custom surface right here. So just click on that, and this one, for instance, diffuse or albedo, you just select that path, and then you give it this one, and then you load. So this is the texture. It's gonna load the texture map, so give it a few seconds. Oh, actually, yeah, it auto detected all the different textures, so the material is ready. Then you just hit next, and then you can give it a name. This is a 2 meters by 2 meters surface, so I'll just give it 2 meters by 2 meters, I guess. Yeah. My surface, this one is a H-bone, I guess, just for herringbone. You can give it like details. Maybe I'm gonna call it debris. I'm gonna say this one YouTube is a tag, for instance, and then you just hit import, and now you have it available in your library. Here's H-bone. You can click on H-bone, and it should be imported right here. Obviously, I didn't set my displacement scale properly. You need to tweak that. If you're exporting something like ceramic tiles, that it's not gonna be, I don't know, 1 meters long in height. So make sure that you get those settings right when importing your textures. And yeah, you have it here, and from there you can trade it just like any other Mixer surface. You import other stuff, you harden your edges, you blend, you do everything else. Yeah, basically Quixel Mixer. Yeah, so back to Bridge. Where were we in Bridge? Yeah, external assets. Mixer you can import, external you can already import. This, for instance, is actually a Megascans asset. However, I was testing it as an external one, and yeah, I just tried to import basically a few assets right here. And if I go to 3D, it works pretty much like any other asset. You have your 3D assets and so on. And to import it, the process is really simple. I'm actually going to show that to you right away because I think it's really neat. Can you add meshes as well as custom materials? Yeah, absolutely. You can add anything. A decal, a geometry, any 3D asset that you have can be added into Bridge's external tab, and we're gonna improve that one even more, giving you more filters, more naming convention management system. Maybe you're a studio and you want to be able to sort, maybe get all the different albedos in your folder which might have like 50 different textures. So we want to give you all those parameters, and yeah, all of that stuff is again in the works, and lots of it is happening sooner than expected, you could say. But yeah, so this is a Megascans asset. However, I'm just gonna drag and drop a mesh on the bridge UI. And actually, do I need to be in the external tab for that to happen? I'll just go to my external tab and I refresh bridge, and then I'm gonna give it a second to wake up. Yeah, the concept behind it is simple. You drag and drop an object on the UI, and then wait, let me just double check the comments there. Yeah, you drag and drop onto the UI, and then it should give you like a set of parameters. Am I using the default bridge version right here? Bridge, oh okay, yeah, looks like I'm using a dev build here, which might be why it's not there. But yeah, the concept again is the same. This one you probably noticed doesn't have, you know, all the different tabs, you know, like details and so on. That's because it's your asset. It only has export settings, and if you want to export it, just hit export. If your parameters specify that you want to channel pack your textures, it's gonna channel pack them. Otherwise, it's not gonna channel pack them. Actually wonder if Unreal is importing it. Let's close this one again and just make sure that we have resolution, maybe .1 4.22. That should be it. Export. Yes, looks like it's not exporting this asset. I probably screwed up the setting somewhere. However, we do plan to give you like an extensive tutorial on this feature, because I think it's really important that, you know, instead of hearing it in a live stream as in something like, oh, by the way, there's this thing, we actually want you to sit down and focus on one video that talks about it. So that's definitely in the works, and you can expect that. Yeah. I also heard that trees will be coming to bridge. Can you talk more about what can be, whoops, sorry, expected in terms of LODs, wind setup, and so on? So I don't know the specifics of how the trees are going to be made or handled. I have some details, but I just know that amazing people are working on it. We have a fantastic vegetation artist who has been, you know, doing some magic with it. So I'm really excited to see how that one will pan out. Just know that trees are in the works, and they've never been this close to release, let's say. And yeah, is there a way to use this for free? Nope. However, you have again access to 50 different assets that you can use for free. Just subscribe, you don't have to pay, and yeah, you can download them, give it a shot, and then see if it's worth it for you. Or you can also use the educational program,
which is fantastic, by the way. Quite a few institutions work with it.
Oh, that's great. Can you merge AO roughness displacement in one map? That, my friend, is an excellent question. Yes. So I'm just gonna select one of these assets. Let's say, which one I'm gonna select? Okay, this one maybe. And if you go to the export tab right here, there's actually an advanced setting tab over here, and you have this customize maps and pack channel. So if I check pack channel, I can actually say, okay, you said roughness, AO, and displacement. So yeah, this one is already roughness. This one is not AO, but now it's AO. You can change the bit depth to 16, and then, you know, roughness. Actually, you don't need to set these. I think you can just leave them all as linear, and then so RAD, you just call it RAD. You check this one, and next time you export to Unreal, the live link is gonna go like, oh, he has a pack texture, and it's gonna import that for you. So yes. Let's see this one. Can you buy more assets if you want? Jonathan, I think you might have more info on that, but I think we actually have a top-up system that allows you to kind of have buy more points when you run out of points, right?
Yeah, we do, and you can do it anytime that your account is currently active and subscribed. There's more information in our FAQs. You can check that. I can link it in chat here in a moment. But yeah, we absolutely encourage that. Once you run out, feel free to resubscribe or add more quota at any point.
Perfect. And so this Josh Ireland, that's a nice name. Has your content team done any scanning in Canada that you know of? If not, are there any plans? I guess this might be a question for Eric, who left the chat. I don't know, to be honest. However, do keep in mind that Quixel's mission is we capture the world. So at some point, we're bound to go to Canada, uh, Mauritania, Congo, Cambodia. We actually were there. Florida. I don't think we scanned there
Still
yet.
waiting for my alligators.
Yes, we really want to scan everything. Yes, want to scan your house, your door, everything.
Yeah, you don't get to scan my house.
So it would be nice with a drop down for recommended LUT texture packing for. Yes, Thomas Peterson, I agree with you. Definitely, we do want to revamp this section right here. To be honest, like channel packing, a lot of people don't know about it because it's you actually have to go in advanced and so on. And it would be nice if you had like one button here that said channel packing, and when you click on it, it opens channel packing options instead of advanced settings. We're constantly working on all those small features, and yes, right now the most generic one happens when you download. So if you go to latest and let's say you want to download this one, you can go to downloaded and set a preset. This one is only for the textures. However, I think in the long term it would be great if you also had one for different LUDs. And when you export like the high poly to Unreal, maybe if your project originally you've set it to always export LUD 1, but this instance you set high poly, would be nice to give you a warning. Hey, high poly are actually really expensive. Are you sure you want to do this, or something like that? So yeah, lots of stuff coming up. Could you?
We had a question about points in
Uh-huh.
general that I wanted to kind of chime in real quick on.
Yeah.
So Sanic wants to know, when you subscribe, do you get points in general outside of the current 100 points bonus that we're offering? And yes, that's absolutely how we offer the system. The subscription is for a set amount of points every month or on a yearly basis. It really just depends on what you would like to sign up for. If you sign up for a year, you get a discount, and that allows you to get a large number of points completely upfront for usually about $10 off the monthly price. Whereas if you go monthly, you need to wait every month and you pay a little bit more, but you have more flexibility when you decide you want to cancel, or if you decide.
And there's another question from the dude. Are there any plans to scan ancient artifacts and other things from museums? We do have, ancient other things from museums. I think Roman assets. Again, the mission is to capture the world. So I think, for instance, there is Cambodia, which we just added another assets actually. This one, Angkor Wat Temple Lintel. So yeah, there you go. We're constantly, trying to add more and more of these assets, and next month you guys are gonna see a really cool breakdown actually out of Cambodia or Angkor Wat. So I'm excited for that one as well. And I should stop teasing all this stuff. Let's close this one and go back to downloaded. So yeah, the last assets, just to kind of wrap up here, and the last asset type that I wanted to cover was atlases, because they may seem like, okay, this is just a 2D texture, I can't do much with it and so on, but they're actually really powerful, not just in their current state but also in their upcoming state, because we do want to give you better atlases, you could say, and so I'll talk about that right after. Now, when you download an atlas, you probably notice you only have textures, and if you wanted to make a leaf, you're just, okay, what do I actually do with these textures? This is fantastic, Quixel, thank you for giving me this, but where do I go now? And the answer is simple. Just create a basic plane and apply the atlas opacity on it, and from there now you're gonna have a nice atlas card on top of which that you can vertex, animate, add some polygons, and so on. Yeah, it's fairly simple. You just make a basic plane. Let's say actually something like this. You move it right here. Please bear with me. I feel like I haven't used Maya in years because I don't have shortcuts anymore these days. But yeah, so let's select file here. I'm just gonna copy the path of this texture, and next I'll go here. This process would be much faster if you used one of the live links, by the way. See, this is actually what we're constantly talking about, that the manual process takes a long time. I think I had the Megascans live link here, but it's probably not up to date, so I'm not gonna use it in this instance. But yeah, this is the manual process again, you know, just import stuff manually, which takes quite a bit of time. So I'm just gonna load an opacity here, which is right here, and obviously Maya doesn't show you anything until you check this checker pattern right here. So this is how the asset looks like when you import, and if I open the UV editor, hopefully Maya won't crash. This is what we have. So I wonder if it's gonna display my texture. Yeah, it doesn't want to. Why do you do this, Maya? Why? But yeah, I mean, I can just do that manually as well. I'm just gonna disable all these guys over here. Maybe go back to wireframe.
You know, Adnan, while you're getting that set up, maybe I can chime in about how I've used atlases in the past.
Yeah.
So that scene that you linked in the beginning with the oak trees and whatnot, we actually didn't even have the live oak leaves that are native to my part of the world, because I live in the southeast US, and I kind of had to just make do with what we had in our library. And the closest thing that we had to it was bay leaves, and nobody could even tell because, you know, I chose something that looked almost identical. But it's really the same process as what you're showing now. You actually trace the geo out, or I traced the geo out anyway, and then I added some geometry following the natural curve of the leaf, and then made it look like a low poly leaf with the texture driving all of the information, all the normals, all of the shadowing, all the AO, everything. It takes some time to set it up, but it's so rewarding in the end. And what you're doing is like pretty much exactly how I worked.
Yeah, the process is actually, you know, fairly simple. Just make sure that, for instance, if you want to bend your leaf, oh no, yeah, Maya has this thing here where you actually can go to, I think they had this discrete parameter, preserve UVs. There you go. Yeah, you just move your vertices right here. And yes, you can see the process again, really simple. You don't need to bother with much stuff. Just make sure that you get the base shapes right, like that. And as soon as I'm done with this painful process, I'm gonna cheese a little bit more because we do want to make this faster, obviously, so please bear with me. And the idea here is that basically you need to have, you know, a shape that is simple enough for you to play within Unreal or another software. And yeah, again, super basic plane, which makes it easy to handle for any software, since you're gonna have, you know, these leaves in the thousands. And yeah, this is basically
Well, something to note too
like
with what you're doing. Sorry about cutting you off there, buddy. But one important thing of what you're doing that a lot of people might not know about, as a game artist, as game artists anyway, one of the things we need to do is cut down on overdraw as much as possible. And that's where you have your transparent parts of your mesh essentially rendering, I would say twice, because that's how I interpret it anyway. It's terrible for performance, and you want to try to cut down on what is being rendered that doesn't actually exist in the mesh. So like all those gaps in the leaf that you cut out when you traced around the leaf, that improves performance in so many ways, and it's an essential part of making this workflow work.
Yep. Yeah, thanks a lot for mentioning that. Let's just move. Yeah, I mean, you get the idea, you know. Very quickly you now have your own leaf. You can then scatter it all over, and it's fairly easy to do. How do you move the vertex without ruining the UVs? Just make sure that, you know, you control shift right click, and then you enable preserve UVs. If I disabled it, this is what it would look like. There you go, ruining the UVs. If I enabled it, no. There you go, not ruining. Oh, we're actually, it's 1 hour, but yeah, I feel like this is going really smoothly, so we're probably gonna take, I don't know, another 10 minutes, Jonathan, and then we should be good to go. I'm just gonna take...
you've covered so much, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we, have this kind of conversation. I'm glad that actually we got the time to go into the comments, answer a lot of different questions. Which software do you use to... that is top secret, and I actually don't know, to be honest, even if it wasn't.
It's highly proprietary. We can't talk about it even if we wanted to.
Even James Bond doesn't know that information, so...
That's right. I think it's more secret than the Coca-Cola recipe.
Yes. Let's check the comments here. The thing is that I only have 3 assets per month, and 0 point doesn't mean that you can choose points. I think you answered that question actually, Jonathan. Yeah,
I tried to.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go back to our asset right here. Yeah, this is how you make your leaves, and if you wanted to, kind of also vertex paint them or do something similar to what the 3D plants actually have, you can also actually apply vertex colors like fully white. There's a way to apply like a gradient and so on. Maybe this one is white and this one would be dark, and then yeah, you would just kind of give this, yellow and green. Actually, wait, I'm pretty sure that you can just paint it even, and so on and so forth, and tweak the color as well. So if you want to have it darker, or maybe even darker than that, or even completely, yeah. And from there, it's just a question of, like, it's almost like a gradient where you actually progressively darken your leaf. And yeah, obviously this is the wrong way to do it. You should be more careful. I'm sure any vegetation artist watching this must be suffering right now. However, yeah, the process again is I was gonna say fairly simple, but to be honest, it's not. But that actually, I guess, is a good segue into the fact that we do plan to give everyone, actual 3D cards out of the box. This is in the works, 3D atlases, so you're not gonna be doing this kind of stuff anymore. Like, I just did one leaf, and this texture was really big, by the way. This was the texture I just did. Oh god, wait, which one of them did I... Yeah, I think I did this one, and now you only have to do everything else. So it's a really long and painful process, and we hope to kind of remove that pressure from you guys by giving you better tools and better assets as well. Yeah, just make sure that you don't suffer. By the way, you can preview your display colors here. So back to our texture and so on. Perfect. I think that covers it pretty much for the different asset types. You have simpler assets again, like if you type imperfection. Yep, these are imperfection. They're fantastic. So imperfections are basically just texture masks, literally. This one actually I downloaded, so let's see. There you go. Yeah, you have this guy. Oh, this is really high res. I don't even think... Yeah, there you go. Now, this is not just a grunge texture that was made by a noob camera or something. This is actually a really great grunge texture, high quality and all that stuff. However, you don't need to use it just as that. A lot of people use it in custom setups, like as blood splatter even, instead of using just decals, or even using it as like detailing on top of a wall. So if you had a super clean wall, you don't need to just rely on decals to detail it. You can use decals, but you also have imperfections. So if you imported this one, for instance, you can have a material, the live link one already does that, by the way, where you control how much of it you want to be exposed, and you can project it on walls, which kind of gives you this nice feeling that this wall is actually dirty. And yeah, you also have like metal scratches and so on, so it's quite interesting as well. And of course brushes, which again can be used for the same purpose. There you go.
I would like to say too that imperfections are amazing in Mixer. When you load them into a paint layer, you can do so many things with them.
Yeah, they're the best. Yeah. So are you able to use the assets to create custom textures for games? How would you go about doing that? So how to attach them and make them lighter for the engine? Yeah, two questions there. So Miles Delarc, using decals, using custom textures. I mean, you can make your own custom textures. Don't mind this example, by the way, this is actually just a default. You can make your own custom textures in Mixer just fine, and you can export that to Bridge by going to File, Export. If you click on Export here, it's gonna send it to Bridge, and from Bridge you can just hit Export, and bam, you have it inside Unreal or Unity or whatever. So there's that. However, you can't texture 3D objects just yet, and like I've said earlier, that's in the works. We want you to be able not just, you know, texture them, but also apply smart materials on them, you know, have really cool workflows, customizing not just your own assets but also Megascans asset. Like maybe you've downloaded this rock right here, but you're not a huge fan of how certain parts of it are. Maybe you want this thing right here to be, I don't know, like palm tree leaves or something. That's basically what we want to give you, you know, the ability to customize scan data and also custom data. So let's just double check this one again.
One thing too, when it comes to 3D stuff, I actually currently use Mixer for 3D work, not because I have a super secret build or anything, and just because I work here, but really because I actually do like using Mixer almost like Photoshop, because I'll load curvature maps that I bake from like Marmoset Toolbag directly into Mixer, and then I'll paint on objects in it. It works. I mean, not paint, but you know what I mean. Apply layers, almost like you're working in the old school Photoshop way.
Yeah.
It's very, very usable, versatile in that way. But you know, there's proper 3D support coming that'll make it a lot easier.
Yep. There's a question from Philippe Drapeau, who's actually from Canada. So, salut Philippe. To answer your question about how to attach them and make them lighter for the engine. So, the way I imported them in this case was using the what is it called already? Unreal Engine Live Link. I have a bad memory with names, so pardon me for that. If you're using the Unreal Engine Live Link, you can just hit export. And last time I checked, let me just go back to Megascans, and you have master materials, decals, Is it this one? I wonder. Oops. I think I dragged and dropped the tab and Unreal. Oh, there you go. Thought it crashed there for a second. Right, so this is the setup. As you can see, like this is really light. There's not much going on. Maybe you don't even need the normal, for instance, so you can actually remove this. Like the simplest decal setup, I'd say, would be one where you only have control over, not even using a roughness map. You could just use this, for instance, and then you could delete these two. Your mask, obviously you need that. You could have this guy over here, this guy over here. This one's actually called diffuse. That's unheard of. I think this might actually be an old material because I don't recall working on it. However, if I go to master materials, I should have decals master material. It's probably slightly bigger, but again, same concept. You don't want metallic, you delete it. You don't want roughness, you can nuke that one as well. Just give it a second. My computer is running like every software on earth at the same time, so it can be a little bit slow. yeah, if you don't want to have a roughness, just connect your roughness there, and now you can actually nuke these guys as well. If you don't want to have a normal setup, come on Unreal. If you don't want to have a normal setup, again, you just delete that as well. This is quite complex, to be honest, and so if this is actually a really nice trick for Unreal. If you actually, let's see, yes, if you want to have your own custom material be as simple as possible, you probably noticed that this node here that the live links makes has this ms base color command, and this basically tells it, by the way, this is the last node in the graph that connects itself to the main material, so just delete that node and then add ms base color to description. And finally, let's give it a sec. Unreal seems to be, there you go, you just do your connection. So this is a really simple material. All these features are actually not needed even if you want to. And again, this is all, you know, showing you like how light can you actually make this thing be. Yeah, so let's see, I think that's it. Yeah, this is super simple. Even better, you can actually channel pack the opacity into the alpha map of the albedo, which means you're only gonna have one texture in your scene, which is, you know, super cheap. So I'm just gonna save right here, and once you save, you can import all the textures that you want right away. So I think we're actually kind of almost like 13 minutes, more than an hour. So let's take the next 8 minutes, Jonathan, and let's just, yeah, I'll wrap up a few things and then I think we can close in. But this is a really an enjoyable experience for us to do, and I really can't insist on this enough that you guys should definitely join our Facebook and Discord community group. If you're an environment artist and you want to, you know, showcase your work or talk about, you know, your own struggles as an artist, because we all have these struggles, every artist has them. I actually, you know, started 3D. I was in Africa. I had the worst computer ever, and it's just through hard work and asking for help and so on that I managed to get here. And nowadays people have, you know, Facebook groups. Back then they weren't that popular, but like, yeah, you should definitely join these groups and ask for help, harass people. Even, you know, like,
Well, you
hey,
were a
here and there.
polycount guy too, weren't you?
Yeah, I was on Polycount back then. Polycount, yes, I was definitely there. Those were really old days. So yes,
So,
and again, Philippe, you know, you just import this and then you should be good to go. Jonathan, can you drop the link to the Discord actually in the chat? I don't have it. Can you make animated short films using these environments? Absolutely. There are a lot of different, companies that actually are trying this. Epic is one of them. Basically, the concept here is called virtual production, where you combine, you know, real world assets, as in a real human, not a 3D one, but a real one, which is, you know, keyed with a green screen, and then you add a 3D environment, like the Rebirth environment, for instance. And a lot of people are doing that, combining reality and virtual reality, VR, to some extent, and yeah. So that's really neat. However, you can also go fully, you know, stylized and also have your own characters, and so like so many people are doing great stuff on that already. Let me just check something quickly right here. I think I had seen a really nice demo, not by that one, but Unreal Engine and virtual production. Must be one of their latest videos, probably. Yeah, I didn't manage. Oh yeah, here it is. Yes. So what you're seeing right here is a real guy, a real motorbike. However, the environment in the back is actually an Icelandic environment. This asset right here, if you saw Rebirth, you probably noticed like the shapes and so on. So this is what people talk about when they say virtual production. It's kind of combining reality and virtual reality again to create new worlds. And this is definitely the future, you could say. So I think this is kind of a good segue to talk about, like jobs. Don't just think that I'm in this industry. I only want to work at Blizzard. There are so many companies out there, so many amazing indie companies doing stuff that is, small scale. However, you get to have more ownership on it, and virtual production is one of those industries that is just starting up, and you should definitely look that one up. I think Epic CTO Kim Library actually did an amazing talk at VFX Guide. I'll just double check that one. VFX Guide, Kim Library. Yes, he did an amazing talk about virtual production. I'll drop it in the comments in a sec. There you go. So yeah, check that out again. Yes, really great stuff. And now you don't sound so old. Oh, all right, thank you. I guess I'm not old, not as old as Jonathan at least. Shots fired. But yeah, yeah, next week you can expect the Unreal Engine live link update, just to showcase like this material here. I've been using it to kind of test the feature extensively, so I'm just gonna open it right here. So what we're trying to do right now is give you more features like what is it called already, actual blending, not just vertex painting, but mixer like blending. And this is a really basic version of it. We're definitely going to be improving it a lot moving forward. But yeah, basically, if I reset everything by default, you're going to see the original scan actually looked like this. I could probably reset. Yeah, I showed you guys this material earlier, and fairly simple material. However, with the new feature set, you can actually blend stuff like sand. Maybe you want to completely blend it like this, and then, I want to make the edges of the blending harder. I want to move it down a little bit. I want to have another material, which is this one, and maybe you go like, the edges are too hard, I want to soften them a little bit more. You can do just that. I want to have some water in there, no problem, just move the water slider, and now we have some water. And this is actually on wait, let me just move around this one right here. Yeah, this actually is a Megascan surface and two other materials, and they showcase the same behavior as well. And yeah, as you can see, it looks really nice, and it'll allow you to customize Megascan's assets even more. And sometimes it can even be used in conjunction with Mixer, where you have an asphalt road in 3 states. You have clean, a little bit broken, and really broken. You combine all 3 of them in this material setup, which has RGB, and then you should be good to go creating a nice material. So yeah, we still have
that is beautiful, man.
190 people in the live stream. Could you guys add distance tessellation? Philip, your timing here, sir, is perfect. We actually do have distance-based displacement in this build. I'm not sure if I'm gonna need to rebuild it. Just give me a sec there. I'll just go to wireframe. There you go. Yeah, so this is already implemented, as you can see, so I guess that answers your question. And you can tweak the parameters as well. There's a displacement parameter up here. Displacement parameters. Yeah, you can just say, okay, I want to set the distance to this, I want to set the distance to that, and so on and so forth. So I'm just gonna tweak the distance right here, and then lower this guy, and then tweak the poly count. Maybe you don't want all those vertices, and yeah, maybe you also want to go back to your material and increase, like the actual blending. So let's just increase this guy and just bump this one a little bit there. Yeah, you get the idea. And this is, by the way, work in progress, obviously. There you go, it's gonna start twitching. Yeah, but this is the goal. We want to ship you, send you guys this material and have everyone play with it. So I'm really excited to have this update out as well.
Could you have any better like what is it, praise, then bruh, give it to me.
Bruh. I don't know, man. Bruh is the best one. Can you show how to use brushes in Mixer? That's a good question. Let me just delete these layers right here. Ideally, I think you can actually import them by creating a paint layer. And then, you know, instead of using these textures right here, you have load image. Which one was it again, actually? Let me just double check. Now I'm gonna nuke that one, and then I'll create a base layer. Then I'll add a masking implemented is not okay. Mixer, okay, I see what you're playing. This one as well is not okay, gotcha. Yes, so you can actually create a custom brush. Let's call this one brushy. Yeah, there you go. And then there is a parameter to let you load the texture. I just somehow okay, yeah, you load image here. I can't believe I forgot this. Yes, if you hover over the icon over here, you can load an image. So let's go right here, download it, and then just brush. Did I actually download a brush on my computer? Oh yeah, you have a brush. Perfect. Let me just go here, and then I'll select, I don't know, maybe this. Oh, they're in 8K. That's not gonna be good. Yeah, now I have my brush. I can just, you know, stamp it all over. Obviously it's gonna look really bad since, yeah, this is really rough stuff, but you get the idea. You can preview the mask if that's what you want to see by clicking on 9 and then kind of deleting everything and clear displacement. Yeah, this is basically how you would do that. Okay, it's centered right here. You need to select this guy, clear paint, by the way, for you to be able to paint it. Yeah. Yes, I think that's it. Almost an hour and 20 minutes. I gotta say though, guys, this was a great live stream. So many questions. Let's double check. Can we create an environment on mobile using Quixel asset written in caps? And I'm gonna reply you in caps as well. Yes, sir, you can. You can make environments with like mobile specs or the Lion King specs if you want to. So the full range is there. Yes, you can. Hope that replies to your question.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. I think now's a good time to wrap it up. We're gonna be doing more of these live stream, guys. You know, just chilling and getting questions, replying, and so on. I think it's really smooth, and as you guys have seen, we went like way over an hour, but it's fine. We really love doing this. Jonathan and I, for a bit of some context, Jonathan and I have known Quixel for almost, I don't know, more than half a decade, like 8 years or something. So like we're used to the company and to, you know, how it operates. We also know people like Teddy and Vakar and Victor from so long, and
Yep.
yeah, it's a fantastic group of people. I'm fairly recent compared to Jonathan, but yes, really great. And I can't I feel like we don't say that enough, but really props to every single department who's pulling their something off every day to make sure that you guys get 10,000 assets. That's a lot of work, and yeah, congrats everyone on that. And yep, with that
And make
said,
sure that you guys subscribe right now so you can get those 100 points.
make sure that you subscribe. We've made everything again simpler. 3D assets will not cost anything more than 4 points. Yeah, everything is really simplified now. 3D plants as well, they used to cost like 12 points. Now it's only 4, which is really like super cheap, to be honest. Decals, brushes, atlases, imperfections, all those simple 2D textures are all 1 point only, super cheap again. Surfaces are 2 points. Yes, 2 points. So yeah, really simplified business model. If you subscribe now, you actually get 100 points, which means you can download a lot of assets, and I mean a lot of assets. So yeah, even if you're not that interested like into the long term and just want to try it out, I really recommend that. And yeah, remember, post your stuff in YouTube. Sorry, not YouTube. Do post your questions as well in YouTube, but post your work in the Facebook and the Discord group. If you love our environments, then know that the people who make them are there to help you. Like, that's their job, not just, oh, here's a nice environment. We're here to make sure that you succeed, because that's the only way that, you know, we can show people that yes, photogrammetry is the future, and you don't have to take years to learn how to make a decent scene. And yeah, we're really happy to have you guys on this adventure, and we look forward to the next 100,000 assets or something. Perfect. Jonathan,
Hopefully
wanna
sooner rather
close
than
it?
later. Yeah, as Adnan said, it's so great to have you guys with us. One thing I wanted to cover really quick, please join our Facebook group. It's quixel.com, or sorry, facebook.com/groups/Quixel Tools Group. It got renamed to the Quixel Art Community. It was a decision we made about a year and a half ago. And inside of the art community, you're going to find our actual in-house artists willing to help you with any questions you have. You know, they will interact with you. They will talk with you when they have time. They will give you critique and advice. Uh, we like to treat you guys like you're a family. And as Adnan says, we don't really succeed unless you guys succeed, because we're a company of artists that were built for artists. So when you guys do well, we do well. So thanks so much for attending. We'll be here every Friday as much as we can, as much as we're able to. Yeah, I think that covers just about everything. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you guys next time.
Perfect. Thanks a lot again, guys. We're gonna be replying to some of your comments. Please, if somehow they disappear, do post a question that didn't have its answer in the comments of this video, and we'll make sure to answer that. With that said, thanks a lot, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Cheers, guys.